Two women in California once claimed there was something very fishy about the tuna at Subway. They even sued, saying that Subway's tuna didn't actually contain tuna at all. Now, whether that lawsuit was ever proven or not, it planted a seed of doubt for millions of customers who have probably ordered a Subway sandwich without ever thinking twice. But before you order your next $5 footlong, some eye-opening revelations might make you pause, or at least make you look at that bread and meat a little differently. Let's start with the foundation of every Subway sandwich, the bread. In 2020, Ireland's Supreme Court dropped a bombshell that Subway's bread wasn't bread. Why? Because it contained way too much sugar, about 5 times more than Irish law permits for something to be called bread. To put that in perspective, a single foot-long serving has around 50 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than some donuts. Imagine walking into a bakery, ordering a loaf of wheat bread, and finding out it's closer to cake. That's what Subway has been selling under the illusion of being the healthy choice. And it doesn't stop there. Subway used to include a chemical called azotocarbonamide in its bread, a compound better known for being used in yoga mats and shoe soles. It was marketed as a dough conditioner. But the real question is, why does bread need the same ingredient that keeps your gym mat flexible? Subway eventually removed it after public backlash, but not before years of serving up bread that was a little too stretchy in all the wrong ways. Then there's the famous Subway smell. You know the one. That oddly sweet, almost artificial bakery aroma that hits you in the mall food court before you even see the store. Many insiders claim that the scent is not from fresh bread baking, but from a manufactured fragrance pumped into the ventilation. It's part marketing, part manipulation. That smell isn't about freshness. It's about keeping you hooked from 2 stores away. Now onto the protein, which is where things really start to unravel. Subway's tuna has been one of its biggest scandals. In 2021, lab tests made headlines when researchers couldn't find any amplifiable tuna DNA in the samples. Subway defended itself, saying DNA breaks down during cooking. That might be true, but it didn't stop millions of customers from asking, if it's not tuna, then what is it? But tuna isn't the only questionable meat at Subway. Tests have shown that Subway's chicken strips only contained about 50% actual chicken DNA, with the rest being mostly soy protein and fillers. So when you're ordering that chicken teriyaki, you're not just getting chicken, you're getting an industrial science experiment. Why does everything taste the same? Because all Subway meat comes pre-cooked, pre-seasoned, and vacuum sealed from suppliers. That's why their turkey, ham, and chicken sometimes taste strangely similar. It's not your imagination, it's the standardized flavor enhancers and preservatives. Those perfectly round chicken patties, they come out of industrial molds, not nature. Food scientists call it restructured meat, which is a polite way of saying it's been taken apart and glued back together. Then came the great footlong controversy. Back in 2013, a customer in Australia measured his foot-long sandwich and found it was only 11 inches. He posted the photo online and suddenly the internet turned into a massive measuring contest. Customers all over the world pulled out rulers, tape measures, and yardsticks, and the results weren't good. A nationwide survey found that about 80% of Subway's so-called footlongs were shorter than 12 inches, with some barely hitting 11. That's not just a sandwich, that's a short story. Subway's defense? They claimed footlong was just a marketing term, not a guarantee. By that logic, they could call anything whatever they wanted. Want a 6-inch? Sure, it's 5. Hungry for Italian herbs and cheese? Well, surprise, it's Wonder Bread with oregano. The lawsuit that followed forced Subway to improve quality control and even require franchises to use rulers in the back. Imagine being hired as a sandwich artist and finding out your new toolkit includes a tape measure. That's how far things had slipped. And hey, if you find value in smart shopping hacks like these, hit that like button and subscribe to Frugal Finds for You, your go-to spot for saving smarter, not harder. But the scandals didn't stop at bread and meat. The way Subway runs its franchises has been its own kind of horror story. To open a Subway, you need anywhere from $150,000 to over $300,000 in upfront costs. And after all that, most stores only average about $30,000 in annual profit. That's barely enough to pay for rent in most cities, let alone staff wages. Franchise owners are required to buy supplies exclusively from Subway-approved vendors, often at inflated prices. Tomatoes, lettuce, and cheese all cost significantly more than they would at wholesale. So the owners get squeezed. And when margins are razor thin, corners get cut. Training gets rushed, employees are left understaffed, and safety protocols often fall through the cracks. Some workers reported being told to scrape mold off veggies and just use the good parts. Others said expiration labels were routinely changed to stretch product life. That's not food safety, that's food gambling. Health inspectors across the U.S. have racked up a long list of violations at Subway locations: improper food storage, cross-contamination, pest activity. The works. One Florida location was caught storing tuna salad at 72 degrees, which is basically petri dish temperature. In Ohio, an inspector found raw chicken prepped on the same cutting board as vegetables. That's not just sloppy, that's roulette with food poisoning. Mold in ice machines, soap dispensers filled with water instead of soap, cockroaches in prep areas. These aren't one-off cases. In 2023 alone, over 2,000 Subway locations were cited with serious health code violations. For a chain that markets itself as fresh, that number speaks volumes. For years, Subway followed an aggressive growth model: open as many stores as possible, everywhere possible. By 2015, they had more locations worldwide than McDonald's. Some towns in the US had 5 or 6 Subways within a 2-mile radius. Gas stations, strip malls, even inside Walmart. If there was space, Subway wanted in. But this strategy backfired. Stores started cannibalizing each other's sales. Profits dropped, customer loyalty declined, and franchise owners struggled to keep their doors open. Since 2015, over 5,000 Subway locations have permanently shut down. In 2023 alone, another 700 disappeared. Subway went from being the fastest-growing fast food chain in the world to one of the fastest shrinking. It's the blockbuster effect: too much expansion, too fast, without keeping up quality or customer trust. And once the public starts doubting your food safety, it's nearly impossible to bounce back. So what's the takeaway? Subway isn't just about sandwiches anymore, it's about trust. From sugary bread to questionable meat, from undersized subs to struggling franchises, the cracks are showing everywhere. What once was marketed as the healthier, fresher alternative to fast food has been exposed as just another processed, overexpanded empire cutting corners at every turn. Does this mean every Subway is terrible? Some locations run clean, serve decent food, and take pride in their work. But the bigger lesson here is simple. Just because it's marketed as fresh doesn't mean it is. Just because it's everywhere doesn't mean it's good. And just because it's cheap doesn't mean it won't cost you in the long run. If this gave you something to chew on, hit like, subscribe, and share with someone who still thinks frozen lasagna counts as fine dining. Thanks for watching Frugal Finds and remember, shop smarter, not harder.